Random Geezer Thoughts, Sunday, May 12th, 2025. I do have a lot of random thoughts that I want to kind of share this segment of Get Geezer. And the reason being is because they really are on my mind. I also have a catering opportunity. It's a small catering opportunity, something that's just getting me out the house and something that leads to what amounts to is some cash flow, i.e., gas money. So here's what's going on. I do want to mention this week I am going to participate in 2 live streams, at least as of today. 2 live streams. The first one is Tuesday evening, May 13, 2025. I will be a guest of Steve Rideshare Rodeo, and this will be my second appearance on his live stream called Beyond the Algorithm. And that's going to be Tuesday, May 13th at 8 o'clock Eastern. The theme is going to be on investing in yourself, investing in your business. And in fact, that's something I'm going to kind of touch upon later in this segment of the Get Geezer. And then, of course, on Wednesday is my weekly live stream, and that's I'm Speaking. And I'll be speaking with this week none other than CJ Cargo Van out of San Antonio. CJ appeared back in January. And I asked him if he would be interested in appearing this weekend, and he was more than willing to agree on appearing. We will talk about several topics this week, and although I've not broached it with him though, but I am going to open up the damn conversation where some of you may be able to talk to us directly during the live stream. Some of the topics that we'll be talking about will include about how we should become our own gig app, how or when or is this the right time to be investing in a Sprinter/cargo van, and then about running a business, how to build a business. These are some of the topics that we will talk about this week. So look out for my participating in Rideshare Rodeo's Beyond the Algorithm Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern. May 13th, and then on Wednesday for my weekly live stream, Wednesday, May 14th at 9 o'clock Eastern, as I will be speaking with CJ Cargo Van. Now, investing in yourself. I'm going to touch on that. What does that involve? 3 thoughts come to mind. Number 1, as you invest in yourself, as you invest in your business operations, your business enterprise, if it's something financial, more than likely, it is something that can lead to a tax write-off. If you're investing in your business, that is a tax write-off. The government allows for that. But more importantly, it is a necessity that you must invest into your business, be it time or actual financial resources. It's important. The time element could be your study of trends, your study of new concepts and ideas, your study of gaining certain certifications. These are investments into yourself and into your business. And of course, the financial component, when you invest in equipment, when you invest into those certifications, when you invest into software or computers or things of that, or even other office equipment like a printer. You are investing into yourself and into your business. These are things that can lead to your sustainability, your profitability, your longevity into your business operation, your business enterprise. And then lastly, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. You have to invest into yourself and into your business. It's almost like a child. You know what? You invest time and resources into your child. One of your biggest life investments is into your child. And if you're not spending time with your child, if you're not investing sound wisdom and knowledge into your child, you are doing your child a disservice. And you're doing yourself a disservice when you're not investing into your business. Next thing that I want to talk about, and by the way, we're about 5 minutes into this segment of the Get Geezer. And if you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I have another addition to my shit list in the delivery and transport space. And the latest entry into that list is A8 Distribution. They're out of Columbus, Ohio. These motherfuckers, I caught them trying to hit my checking account for $200, an unauthorized credit, an unauthorized debit of $200 out of my checking account. Why would they do that? Well, I don't know why they did that, but I know that I caught their asses doing it, and I filed a claim with my financial institution to have it investigated. But I also know that it will be, at least temporarily, until it's substantiated, which it should be. That amount should be credited back to my account, and the financial charge that went along with it will be removed. Now, here's how it occurred. I was looking into other load board sources, and one minor load board that I had looked into that was of no charge. There was a free version, and then there was a premium version which you paid for it. I looked into the free version, in which I posted my Sprinter van and box truck on, and I got a couple phone calls on last week Wednesday, so that would be May 7th. Or was it last week Thursday? It was last week Thursday, May 8th. And so the guy called a couple of times. I ignored. He called a third time. It may have been one time he called, I ignored. He called a second time, and I'm like, maybe this could be a broker that I'm not familiar with. And so we talked. He told me that he served in multiple capacities as a dispatcher, a broker, and a carrier. And he happened to notice my post truck or post vehicle postings, and he explained to me how what he likes to do, what he prefers, is to deal with direct opportunities with shippers, which may lead to dedicated lanes and or contract opportunities. And so I'm open to that, especially if it's the right dedicated lane situation. I discussed with him like Charlotte to Atlanta or Charleston to Atlanta. Those are a couple lanes that I seem to do more so of. Well, we talked, and then he said, "Hey, I'd like if you're interested, I'm going to send you an onboarding package. Get back with me." So it looked like a typical onboarding package, nothing that I've not seen before. A W-9, an actual contract with spelling out certain things that they expect, and then he also explained that, hey, we may be dealing with certain people who may not be eligible yet for factoring, and so in those situations, it may result in a quick pay. So we would need so that's happened. That's not out of the ordinary. It's like with the factory company. They want a checking account or a savings account where the money can go. So I'm not stressing over that. So I go along with it. I fill out the form. He says, well, if you don't have a voided check, just send us a bank statement with your account number on there. So I did that. There was nothing in the paperwork, nothing in any of the verbiage or language that says that, hey, we are going to put a hold on your account for $200, what it amounted to, as in setting up your account. This was a classic fraudulent situation that I caught, and my immediate reaction was telling him that, sending him an email, bringing up the fact that, hey, this was never discussed. There's nothing in the paperwork that says that there's going to be charging my account $200. And I want you, I'm paraphrasing, I want you to deactivate my account immediately. And then Then I contacted my financial institution and ultimately filed the claim. I contacted them that next day, which would be Friday morning, May 9, inquiring about it, but they said they couldn't do anything because it was still showing as a hold on my account. And so I'd have to wait until it was, I'd have to wait for it, if it does go through, to hit my account first before I can file a claim, or hope that it will drop off, because holds do sometimes drop off. Well, the hold didn't drop. My account was hit with a $200 charge. And because I don't keep a lot of money in that account, it's one of my accounts in which I just allow money to come in and then I move it elsewhere. I was hit with a $10 charge. So then I called the next day, and they sent me a form to fill out, an unauthorized debit form, claim form. And so I'm told that they will temporarily credit the amount of money that was assessed against my account. So that'll be a total of $210 credited against my account while they investigate the charge. I also sent in that package the paperwork that I have, at least the paperwork that I have, in which it was the onboarding packet and the quick pay form and the explanation of what happened. And I'll just leave it at that. But I urge you to steer clear of A8 distribution out of Columbus, Ohio. Those are some fraudulent motherfuckers. And I also found out that one driver has already accused them of double brokering. And double brokering is when basically you got a shipper who's under the impression that that this broker has bid to move their stuff, and they're thinking that you're only dealing with one person. But then another broker comes behind them while it's being bidded out. A broker comes behind them and bids for the same thing, and they turn around and bid it out to another person. And so then they will turn around and be very persistent about that second person who actually is doing the delivery to send them back the rate confirmation sheet and all, and to show proof that it's been delivered. But ultimately, that person never gets paid. It's that first broker that gets paid, and this is very pervasive. So how do you catch? So there are people who've been able to recognize that they've been double brokered, and then they ultimately hit them up in the factoring company, and then contact the shipper, and the shipper hits them up for money. So that business that did the double brokering get hit twice. Serves their asses right. So yes, that's another addition on my shit list. And while I'm at it, if I've had people of late ask me about applying for MC numbers and DOT numbers, and when you apply, once your DOT number has been approved, or your MC number has been approved, there are people who, because it's all public information, they're looking for those new MC numbers and your new DOT numbers, so that they can scare you into doing business with them, to do other filings or other paperwork, or have you to pay for other services that oftentimes you don't need to be paying. I remember when my MC number my MC number was first approved. This company contacted me like 7:30 that morning. It was the first people that contacted me, and me being a dumbass, I ended up paying $600 to these people to do certain things for me that I could have done myself. I'm thinking that, FMCSA, USDOT, oh man, they looking out for you, you know? Yeah, even Geezer found out about some shit. So when a lot of the paperwork came around to needing to be renewed or updated, I did it myself. And meanwhile, they were charging me $10 a month. At some point, I canceled the credit card that they were drafting against, and that's been for over a year now. It's been for more than a year now that they've not collected any money off of me. So they got me once and they got me good. So I'm telling you from experience to watch out for these solicitations and ignore them. If it's about dispatching or anything, I mean, filing your UCR, your United Carrier Registration, UCR, that's something that you can file yourself. If it's your MCS 150 form, your biennial update, you can do it yourself. But it is something that you can do. Many of these things that you can do. The BOC3, that may be one that I would say you might be willing to, or you should consider allowing somebody to file, because it's only done once. But much of the paperwork are things that you can do yourself. Now, one other thought that comes to mind. You often hear me talk about Sprinter/cargo van. Now, the reason why I say Sprinter/cargo van, I've given other explanations, but I'm going to go over the past explanations, and then I'm going to give you another reason why I use the term Sprinter/cargo van. What you find is when you look at low board-based opportunities, brokered opportunities, you'll see most times that they're asking for a Sprinter van. Sometimes they say cargo van, but most times the listing is under Sprinter van. I've also mentioned that just with the basic design of cargo van versus Sprinter van. Now, you've got some nitpickers, some people want to really try to impress upon you that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, because I have a Mercedes Sprinter, and that is a Sprinter van because it has Sprinter on its nameplate. Okay, yes, it does. But there are other companies that have what you would say are Sprinter class vans in their designs. Okay, the Mercedes brand has the sleek, high roof and long wheelbase, which allows you, depending on which one it is, to have as many as 3 standard size pallets. But you've got other companies that build Sprinter vans in which you can put 3 standard size pallets in their vans, and they also have high roofs. So yes, you can call them Sprinter class vans. Okay, but another thing that you want to look at, what you want to observe, is that there are only 3 companies that have what I would say are cargo vans, and those are your full size vans, of course, that can carry, sometimes carry a heavier payload. They are shorter in roof or shorter in profile, and they typically have, and this is the thing that I want to point out, they typically have 8-cylinder engines. That's your Nissan NV. They have that 8-cylinder engine that's in the Nissan NV is what powers the Nissan Pathfinder Armada and the Infiniti large SUV. Then you have your Chevy Express vans, and typically the long-body Chevy Express van, the long-body high payload Chevy Express van, has your 2500, 3500 chassis, but it's powered by a V8 engine, as is your Ford E250s, E150, your E-Series vans, your E150, 250, and 350s typically are powered by an 8-cylinder van, at least traditionally. Now, I know that Ford have these 6 cylinders that supposedly put out the same output and have the same output as an 8-cylinder. But traditionally, as in the past, the E-Series vans, most of them are V8 engines. And when you look at your Sprinter class vans or Sprinter vans, they typically have 6-cylinder engines. The 6-cylinder engines get you better gas mileage. In fact, the gas mileage in the Sprinter van is going to be comparable to a car. So that's something that you want to at least observe and take note for yourself. Now, my last random geezer thought, and I want to just remind you again that I'll be appearing on Rideshare Rodeos Beyond the Algorithm this coming Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern. That's Tuesday, May 13, as we'll be talking about investing in yourself, investing in your business. And then this coming Wednesday, my weekly live stream in which I'll have CJ Cargo Van. I'll be speaking with CJ Cargo Van this coming Wednesday evening, May 14th at 9 o'clock Eastern. We're going to talk about certain topics like investing. Is it the right time to be investing in a sprinter/cargo van? About building a business, running a business. And then also, should we become our own gig apps? This is something that he's talked about. It's something that I've broached, and I've seen other content creators talk about the same thing. And so we're going to bring it up in the live stream. The last thing I want to talk about, I'm about less than 10 minutes away from the pickup location, although I still got plenty of time, but I'm just going early because I like to talk and drive at the same time. We'll get back to the main conversation with this segment of the Gig Geezer. But I just left the restaurant with the catering pickup opportunity. And it's really interesting. It's really a good, feel-good type situation for me with this particular one. You do enough catering opportunities or enough delivery opportunities over the years, you remember certain people. And so I go to the front desk, if you will. There's a place where you meet the greeters and they tell you how long of a wait that is going to be and all. And they're the ones who's coordinating everything in terms of tables being bussed and what tables are available. Well, the lady who was quarterbacking all this was someone whom I seem to have recognized. And I asked her, well, didn't you used to be the bartender here? She's like, yeah, but that was a long time ago, man. And I was like, and I said, yeah, you know what? I remember yeah, that's right. She said that was a long time ago. So when I'm thinking back, that was 2021 under the old DoorDash format in which you can claim catering orders when they appear. And on this particular day, I claimed one that was for, let's say it was like $40. And it was going to, it may have been more than that though. It was more than that. But on this particular day, the lady who coordinated the catering opportunities at that particular restaurant, she went ballistic that day because the staff had dropped the ball. None of the shit was ready. They had half of the order ready. Well, anyway, again, she went ballistic that day. She basically said, fuck it, I'm done. I'm out of here. Next thing I know, she's gathering her purse. She's dabbing her eyes. And now all of a sudden, shit kind of falls into the bartender's lap. She was, at the time, an assistant manager and a bartender. Yeah. And I happened to mention, I'm like, you know what? I remember the first time we talked, and that was, I think it was the day that this lady, and I described what I'm describing, she's like, oh man, that was a long time ago. Well, I'm not an owner. And I'm like, well, congratulations, you stuck with this. You really stuck with this. And she's like, and she thanked me for, and it was a feel-good story because, you know, I've done this delivery and transport shit, at least of this capacity since 2020, starting with the gig food delivery stuff, the DoorDash, the Grubhub, and the Uber Eats, and the Instacarts. And so I flipped her my card, and I told her, hey, you may need somebody to do some catering for you. Never know. And perhaps, we can, perhaps I may be able to run into you on a less busier occasion. And she mentioned how today is really bedlam because, hey, it's, as she describes, her Super Bowl, in which Mother's Day is arguably the busiest day of the year for the restaurant space, at least for her restaurant. And I mean, they had people waiting in upwards of an hour and a half. Yeah. But it was just interesting because she is now the owner or the manager of that restaurant. And so I would venture to say that she's finally got shit together there, because that place has been notorious for long waits for catering opportunities. I mean, usually it's like, bless your heart, because of you having to go to. So, she's now the owner, the manager, the proprietor of the restaurant. So she makes top dollar there. She does the hiring and the firing. I'm looking at myself, and I guess you can say I've made some moves too. I've gone from delivery and transport of gig food shit to expanding to other things. So that's a good barometer. That's really a good barometer of things, of how far you've come along. Sometimes you don't realize it until you get to talking to other people or you run into other people. So we're going to go back to the main conversation. I'm cutting this down because I actually had done one draft of this segment of the Gig Geezer, which was twice as long. But I'm going to point out one thing in my random geezer thought. It asked about, so what have been some of my biggest mistakes in this venture as the Gig Geezer and doing delivery and transport. And there are three things that come to mind. The first one is how I did not take full assessment of my domestic situation. And I urge you, if you're looking to go into business for yourself, if you're looking to become a 1099 and enter into this space, or any space for that matter, as a 1099, do your homework with your domestic situation. Take care of home first before you venture to do this. And the reason why I say that, and then even with your best efforts, it's still there are things that may arise that you still have no control over, but at least you have some grasp of what you need to do. So what do I mean by that? Back at the beginning of 2023, at the end of 2022, I had pretty much done my homework in terms of what I was getting into upon the transaction of getting this spinner/cargo van. I had a pretty good idea. I also had an idea on how long it should take for me to reach a level of profitability, or at least, for lack of better words, how long it would take for me getting my ass kicked before I would be in a position of earning money and not getting my ass kicked. So no business starts off really at a profit. You start off at a loss, and at some point what you're working to do is get to a point of profitability. That is your break point. And so part of the break point, as I've described and I've mentioned in this segment of the Gig Geezer, is that you have to take into account the personal, what's going on at home, what goes out, the bills that you got to pay at home. You got to take into account rent, the light bill, the cellular bill, Wi-Fi, car notes, whatever. What happens is that if you're so gung-ho with starting business, reality is going to hit you very, very fast. And in my situation, there were things that I was already carrying beforehand, but yet there are things that still happen that I had no clue was going to happen. Shit happens. Life happens. And how you're able to navigate through those things may dictate your longevity in your business venture. And in my situation, I took on a lot. I took on a lot of water in 2023. And that shit came to head. I saw it coming. Man. By the end of 2023, I knew that some things are going to shit was going to hit the fan. And that I needed to have a response. And the funny thing about it was the market was changing at the same time. The market was changing in the gig apps. The market was changing yet again at the brokered loads, the broker capacity, the spot market capacity for brokered loads slash low board based opportunities. And I realized also that I needed to diversify my business operations yet again. Ultimately, that led to me getting the box truck by October. Ultimately, that led to me getting the box truck by mid-October last year. But in the process, man, I went through it. I went through it through 2024. And I've hinted at on occasion that it got to a point by when the markets hit me again during the summer, when my income dropped significantly by 35% between July and September of last year. By the middle of September, I was on the brink of losing this business. I was really on the brink of having of getting out of being put out of business because of all the shit that was on my plate, man. And I went through much of 2024 stressing out. I mean, the shit led to me spending 2 days in the hospital, not to mention blood pressure. And that's a bad combination, man. That's a bad combination. And in that time in the hospital, it could have gone, that shit could have gone any different way. There were 4 different ways that it could have gone, and none of them were good. None of them were good. But yet, I managed to get through that situation. I've got things under control, and I'm in a better situation today than I was in a year ago. So, I know that I still yet not talk specifics, but I think I'm giving you a pretty good description of the mistakes that I made. I'll say this much. I said about the personal situation. I've mentioned about that. I'm financing this van, but I'm also financing 3 other vehicles. And I'd been financing 2 vehicles since 2021. Okay. This is long before I even thought about a Sprinter/cargo van. I had no thoughts of doing Sprinter/cargo van, and no thoughts of really venturing into the last mile gig delivery space or an MC number or a DOT number. None of that shit. That was the farthest thing from my mind. So I was already financing 2 vehicles, actually 3 vehicles by then. The first vehicle I was financing was started in 2019. 2019. And then within a month period, within a 2-month stretch, I was financing 2 additional vehicles. So when I got the van, that's 4 vehicles that I've been financing since 2019. Well, fortunately, one of the vehicles will be paid off in a few weeks. The other 2 vehicles will be paid off within the next 2 years. And then the van will be paid off a year or so later. But the beginning, at least for me, the start is with the first vehicle being paid off, because now that gives me a chance to redirect that money into other things. Do I recommend doing that? No, but it is, I mean, my situation dictated to me that I had to do that, but then that's been among the many responsibilities that I've had to take care of along the way. And I will also throw in there for the smart asses who want to say, well, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't even gotten into the Sprinter/cargo van. Throughout all this, I've yet to miss a payment. Okay? So I've handled my shit along the way. It's just that, yes, it's been very stressful from time to time. Hey, it is what it is. I mean, it's not all peaches and cream every single month, every single week. And so I'm always looking ahead. I'm constantly playing chess and not checkers in the process. So that's all I have to share for this segment of the Gig Geezer. I know that I went a little longer than I usually do, but hopefully you got something out of it. But at least maybe you can identify with some of the things that I'm talking about. And if you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane. As always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.